Hey Cowboys Nation! Today, we're taking a deep dive into the current situation with the Dallas Cowboys roster and what it could mean in the coming weeks as players start returning from injury. Right now, the team is counting 52 players against the 53-man roster, which puts them in a situation where tough decisions are imminent. With the trade deadline already behind us, the Cowboys have a few options to create space. They can release players, which is always a difficult choice, or they can place certain players on injured reserve, whether the injury is real or used strategically to manage the roster and preserve talent for the future. This is the kind of chess game that NFL teams have to play when balancing talent, depth, and roster spots, and the Cowboys are no exception. This week, we expect some key players to return, shaking up both the offense and defense. Marvion Overshown and Savone Rebel appear ready to come back, while Perron Winfrey has been designated to return from injured reserve and could potentially rejoin the team at any time, although the team might choose to slow play his return depending on strategy and matchups. Beyond those names, other players such as Jack Sanborn, Trayvon Diggs, and Malik Hooker are also eligible to return, but they have not yet been designated. Hooker, for instance, is eligible, but there hasn't been a pressing need to activate him, so he may remain sidelined a bit longer. These decisions are complex because the Cowboys need to balance immediate needs against long-term strategy, ensuring they're prepared for both the present and the next stages of the season. Some players, however, are unlikely to return this season. Names like Robert Jones and Miles Sanders have already been declared out for the year, making roster planning somewhat more straightforward in their positions, but still challenging overall. Then there are players like Phil Maffa, Trevor Keegan, Peyton Turner, and Josh Butler, who have been handled as long-term stashes on injured reserve. Maffa and Butler, in particular, seem to be held in reserve not for immediate impact, but as potential contributors for the next season, which highlights the forward-thinking approach the Cowboys management is taking with roster strategy. One player who stands out as a candidate for an IR stash this season is Johnny Cornelius, the Day 3 draft pick from Oregon. Cornelius has been on the injury report for weeks, dealing with knee issues. While he has had limited activity, he has also been full go at times, showing flashes of readiness. Given that the Cowboys have a crowded offensive line with 10 linemen, including Tyler Ton, Smith, BB, Booker, and the ongoing battle at right tackle between Thomas and others, it seems strategic to place Cornelius on IR. This allows the team to keep him for the long term without cutting him outright, preserving a draft pick investment while managing current depth needs. Hakeem Adonai is another offensive lineman in a similar situation. He has seen slightly more game action than Cornelius, but remains an emergency option at best. With only 6 games played and a mere 62 snaps, Adonai has mostly been a backup in case of injuries, highlighting the challenges of roster management for the Cowboys' offensive line this season. As we shift focus to the defensive side, Perron Winfrey's potential return creates yet another battle among defensive tackles. The current rotation includes players like Quinn Williams, Oso Digizwa, Kenny Clark, and Solomon Thomas. The team is unlikely to carry 6 active defensive linemen for game days, which means someone may need to be moved or managed differently. Players such as Toya, who has limited snaps this season and a modest pressure rate, illustrate the depth decisions the Cowboys face. The team could use strategic IR placements to manage these positions, ensuring they maintain flexibility without compromising talent. This kind of roster balancing act is one of the hidden complexities of NFL team management, where even minor moves can ripple through the lineup and affect game day strategy. The secondary and linebacker positions also present interesting decisions. Players like Triquiz Bridges and Savone Rebel could see action depending on special teams' needs and depth chart adjustments. Rebel's activation might push Bridges down the depth chart, highlighting how returns from injury can create ripple effects throughout the roster. In the cornerback room, the Cowboys have Don Bland, Ka Elam, Reddy Stewart, and Kalen Carson as the top 4, with Goodwin mostly contributing on special teams. The addition of Rebel and the possible return of Trayvon Diggs further complicates roster decisions, as the team is unlikely to carry 7 cornerbacks on the active game day roster. This forces the Cowboys to make difficult choices, potentially leaning on strategic cuts or IR moves to maintain balance and flexibility. Safety is another area with roster complexities. Elijah Clark, for instance, has been dealing with a rib injury and could be a candidate for IR depending on recovery timelines. Donovan Wilson is expected back soon, and Malik Hooker's return also factors into the safety rotation. Managing these positions requires careful consideration because the Cowboys need to ensure depth while also giving players sufficient time to heal. Safety decisions can impact not only defensive schemes but also special teams contributions, making each roster move a strategic chess piece in the broader game plan. Linebacker decisions follow a similar pattern. Deone Clark, once a starting option, has fallen out of favor as the linebacker room has been overhauled. Marvin Overshown's expected return, combined with the presence of Logan Wilson, Kenneth Murray, Maurice Leaf, and Shamar James, puts Clark in a precarious position. Unless injuries occur, he is likely to be the odd man out despite his $3 million salary. These situations underscore the tough decisions NFL teams face, balancing talent, salary considerations, and team needs across multiple positions. In all of these cases, the Cowboys are navigating a delicate balancing act between short-term game day needs and long-term strategic planning. Activating certain players, placing others on IR, and managing the depth chart requires careful coordination between the coaching staff and front office. Every decision can have ripple effects across offense, defense, and special teams, making roster management one of the most critical and often underappreciated aspects of a successful NFL season. With players returning, the Cowboys will need to prioritize both immediate competitiveness and long-term depth. Strategic IR placements, timing of returns, and careful management of game day active rosters will all play a role in ensuring the team remains competitive while protecting future investments in players like Cornelius, Maffa, and others. The combination of returning talent and strategic planning is what will define the next phase of the Cowboys season, and the decisions made now could have lasting impacts on both this year's performance and next year's roster composition. The way the Cowboys handle this stretch of roster decisions will be fascinating to watch. Each position group has unique challenges, from offensive line depth and defensive tackle rotations to secondary coverage and linebacker rotations. With players gradually coming back from injury, the coaching staff must make strategic choices about who to activate, who to place on IR, and how to balance immediate needs with long-term planning. This is where the nuance of NFL roster management becomes most apparent. It is not simply about who is healthy or who is talented, but about assembling the most functional roster for each week's matchup while preserving the team's future competitiveness. As we continue to break down the Cowboys roster situation, the quarterback room is also a critical area to watch. Currently, the top options are Don Bland, Ka Elam, Reddy Stewart, and Kalen Carson, with Goodwin primarily contributing on special teams. If Trayvon Diggs returns, the defensive back rotation could shift significantly, which may impact who sees the field on game days and who remains on the sidelines. Players like Triquiz Bridges and Savone Rebel could find their roles adjusted depending on how the coaching staff wants to structure the active roster. Rebel's potential activation might push Bridges further down the depth chart, highlighting the domino effect that each return from injury can create. The Cowboys have to carefully consider these adjustments to ensure the team maintains both defensive stability and flexibility across all positions. Safety continues to be a position of interest. Elijah Clark, dealing with a rib injury, is a candidate for IR depending on the severity of his condition and the team's immediate needs. Donovan Wilson is expected back soon, adding depth to the secondary, and Malik Hooker's possible return further complicates decisions at safety. The Cowboys must decide how many safeties to activate for each game while maintaining sufficient depth to cover potential injuries. Each roster move has implications for both defensive schemes and special teams, demonstrating how interconnected these decisions are across the entire team. The timing of returns, placement on IR, and game day activations all play a role in ensuring that the Cowboys can field a competitive roster each week. Linebackers are also under close scrutiny. Deone Clark, once a starting option, has increasingly fallen out of favor with the coaching staff as the linebacker room has been reshaped. With Marvin Overshone returning and players like Logan Wilson, Kenneth Murray, Maurice Leaf, and Shamar James taking precedence, Clark's chances of seeing significant snaps appear slim unless injuries occur. His situation underscores the tough decisions that the Cowboys must make at every level of the roster. Balancing talent, salary, and team needs is never straightforward, and Clark's potential inactivity highlights how even capable players can find themselves sidelined when depth and strategic considerations are in play. The offensive line remains one of the most tightly managed areas of the roster. Johnny Cornelius, a Day 3 draft pick, has seen limited action this season due to knee concerns, making him a prime candidate for an IR stash. Hakeem Adonai, slightly ahead of Cornelius on the depth chart, has primarily functioned as an emergency option, seeing only a handful of snaps across 6 games. The Cowboys' offensive line depth, including Tyler Ton, Smith, BB, Booker, and others involved in ongoing right tackle battles, necessitates careful roster management. Placing Cornelius on IR allows the team to preserve draft capital while maintaining flexibility at the position, a strategy that demonstrates foresight and long-term planning. Defensive line depth is equally complex. The potential return of Perone Winfrey adds another layer to an already competitive rotation that includes Quinn Williams, Oso Digizwa, Kenny Clark, and Solomon Thomas. The team is unlikely to carry 6 active defensive linemen on game days, so strategic roster maneuvers, such as IR placements or rotational adjustments, may be necessary. Players like Toya, who has limited snaps and a modest pressure rate this season, exemplify the depth decisions the Cowboys must make. Balancing immediate production with long-term roster management is a delicate act, and each choice affects not only the defensive line, but also overall team strategy. Special teams contributions further influence roster decisions. Rebel and Bridges, for example, are likely to see time on special teams if activated, which affects how many players are available for other positions. Managing these roles requires thoughtful planning to ensure that returning players contribute meaningfully without displacing others unnecessarily. Each adjustment, from cornerbacks to safeties to linebackers, has ripple effects across both offense and defense. The Cowboys coaching staff must consider these interconnected factors when deciding on activations, cuts, and IR placements. The Cowboys' approach to injury management also reflects strategic foresight. Players like Phil Maffa, Trevor Keegan, Peyton Turner, and Josh Butler have been held on injured reserve not only due to current injuries, but also to preserve depth and prepare for future seasons. This long-term perspective allows the team to retain valuable assets while navigating immediate roster constraints. Balancing short-term competitiveness with long-term planning is a recurring theme in NFL roster management, and the Cowboys' approach illustrates the complexity of these decisions. Cornerback depth, in particular, is a challenging puzzle. With Don Bland, Ka Elam, Reddy Stewart, and Kalen Carson occupying the top 4 spots, and Goodwin primarily on special teams, the potential return of Trayvon Diggs could significantly alter the rotation. Bridges and Rebel may see their roles shift, highlighting the ongoing challenge of fitting returning players into a roster without compromising performance or depth elsewhere. Decisions about who to activate, who to place on IR, and how to allocate game day spots are central to maintaining a balanced and competitive team. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In what could be one of the most sensational storylines of the offseason, whispers are spreading across NFL circles that Shedeur Sanders, the electrifying Colorado quarterback and son of Hall of Famer Deion "Primetime" Sanders, has allegedly accepted an irresistible offer from the Dallas Cowboys. Though nothing has been confirmed by the player or the franchise, insiders claim that negotiations reached a turning point after weeks of quiet discussions between Dallas representatives and the Sanders camp. According to those close to the situation, the Cowboys front office was all in on landing Shedeur, viewing him as the future face of America's team. The move, if true, would mark a bold and surprising turn for both sides, Dallas making a huge bet on youth and potential, and Sanders choosing to step directly into one of the league's most pressurized roles. The rumor has sparked waves of speculation among fans and analysts alike. Some see the alleged decision as a perfect storm of legacy, marketing, and opportunity. Deion Sanders' own legendary history with the Cowboys only adds to the intrigue, fueling talk that this could be a full-circle moment for the Sanders family. Others, however, question whether the young quarterback is ready for the expectations and scrutiny that come with wearing the iconic star on his helmet. Sources describe the supposed offer as too good to refuse, suggesting that both financial incentives and long-term development assurances played key roles. Still, the silence from official channels leaves plenty of room for skepticism. Is this a well-timed leak to stir buzz before draft season? Or could it be a genuine prelude to one of the biggest signings in recent memory? Whatever the truth may be, the mere possibility of Shadur Sanders in Cowboys blue and silver has set social media ablaze. If the rumor proves real, Dallas might be on the verge of a new era, one where the prime legacy continues under center, not on the sidelines. For now, the NFL world waits, wondering if this noise will fade into smoke or erupt into a blockbuster reality. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.